I've never had abs in my life. Are you kidding? I remember the first time I started to kind of see abs and I didn't believe it. I'm proud and happy to say that I haven't done any binge eating. I'm just like so happy to get that out of it. In my adult life, I don't never have I been at this weight. Don't count calories for your vegetables. Oh my God, best tip ever. I don't crave those things. I don't want those things. I don't feel a need to overeat those things. I mean, I never thought I would be able to say that. Now I can do all the different variations of lunges, no problem. Repetition and practice, and you just figure it out.
All right, little interruption before we get into the podcast. Did you know that over 60% of you that listen to this show regularly aren't subscribed to the channel? So if you could do me a favor and click on the subscribe button, because it really helps the channel grow and really helps me get bigger guests on the show and helps me elevate the quality of the show. So again, I run these episodes ad-free for that reason, because I want to give you the best experience possible without any interruption. So this is my little interruption right here. So if you could do me a favor and subscribe, click on the notification bell so you can be notified when the episode goes live. I appreciate it very much. Enjoy the episode. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FitVegan podcast. Today, we're joined by a very special guest in person at my house in LA. We have one of our amazing FitVegan superstars, Amy Thudsworth. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is pretty surreal to meet you in person. And he's very tall, everyone, if you wanted to know.
Yeah, people always, how tall did you think I was?
Gosh. I never really thought about it, but then seeing you in person, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. 6'4", plus to be fair, I had some like running shoes I had a thick cushion on, so it's probably like 6'5",
wow.
6'5.5". Yeah. People always say that. It's because I'm skinnier too, so it makes me look so much longer.
Yeah. You're like a foot taller than I am.
Well, I'm happy that you accepted the offer to come to LA to record in person, and we're going to do an incredible cooking video and workout video after. So I'm excited for that.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it. I'm nervous. When you asked me, I was like, should I do this? And I asked my husband, he's like, yes, you should do it. I'm like, all right, it's a little out of my comfort zone, but how fun. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I'm happy you're here. Again, you've had an incredible transformation. So far, you've lost 32.2 pounds. Completely messed up my math earlier when I calculated. I was like 21 pounds. Like it's actually over 32 pounds. Yeah. So for today, basically, I want to talk about kind of, where you were at before, what led you to want to make this decision to kind of take on this challenge of improving your body composition, ultimately changing the way that you were doing things, and how the process was, the highs and the lows and how you navigated them, because I'm sure there was some, as there always is. So, let's just kick it off with, explaining people a little bit of who you are.
Okay.
So people can have an understanding that you are a real person. You did not 24/7 work out and obsess over your food.
No. So I live on the Gulf Coast with my husband, and I've been kind of a yo-yo dieter my whole life. I do work a full-time job, so no, I do not work out 24/7. But yeah, how did I get here? I found the whole food plant-based space back in probably the end of 2019, and I was very intrigued by that. I was at a point in my life where I was counting every calorie and weighing and measuring everything, and I was tired of it. And I stumbled upon whole food plant-based, where you can just eat and not count calories and lose weight. I'm like, okay, this is it. And I've always kind of wanted to be vegan, but what would people think, or is that realistic? Can I do it? But I decided to try it, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and I lost a little bit of weight, but I kind of came to a point where that stopped. And I don't know, I had heard you on Chef AJ, and I was like, that's cool, but that's not for me. I'm not an athlete. How could I ever do that?
And look at her shirt now, being an athlete.
That's
there
right.
You go.
That's right. So I didn't do anything. And then I heard you on Chef AJ again, like later. I don't even know how much time had passed. I mean, I knew who you were for a long time before I ever joined FitVegan, and I had heard you on Dr. Marbus's podcast too. And I was like, all right, I'm scared, but I need to do this. And so I signed up, talked to Alex, and I was like, I'm terrified, but let's do it. And that was the hardest part, honestly, like just making the decision to do it. After that, it was like smooth sailing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this about your beginning journey. So I think people can relate a lot to just tracking their food and weighing everything and being worried. Like, it becomes a little bit obsessive and you get tired about having to worry about it. And then you don't feel good if you eat something that you didn't weigh.
Right.
It's like, what is actually in what I'm eating?
Yeah.
And in the whole food plant-based movement and how it's portrayed right now is very much eat as much as you want as long as it's whole food plant-based.
Right. And I can eat a lot, so.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People's like, well, if I don't have to worry, if I don't have to weigh or track and eat whatever I want, then that's really appealing to trying to get out of that movement of, using MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, basically.
Right.
So just from my own curiosity, was it that led you to whole food plant-based, or you already had like an interest to being vegan and that kind of like sealed it for you?
Both, really. But when I found out that, I don't have to track calories and I still have the possibility of losing weight, that like really pulled me over. Like, okay, I need to do something. I was just so at my wit's end with weighing and measuring everything. And I'm just like, this is not working. So.
Yeah. And so when you transitioned to Whole Foods, you mentioned you lost some weight. How much weight did you lose at that point?
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe 10 or 15 pounds.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gained some back. We haven't really talked about this, but I do have a history of binge eating. So even though I was whole food plant-based, I would still binge sometimes. And so that helped me back, obviously.
On Whole Foods or like vegan junk food, basically?
Not even vegan junk food. Like if I went into binge mode, like vegan just went out of the picture. It didn't matter what it was, which is awful because it's not in alignment with who I want to be. But, when the binge monster takes over, that's just the way it is. So.
Hey, I get it. I told you a story, right?
Yeah.
I wrote about it this morning. I ate donut.
I saw that. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but
so I was like, I get it on such a deep level. Yeah. When it's there, you're just eating, and your brain is thinking, I should probably stop doing this as you're putting more food into your mouth. Basically.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. So then what? Obviously, you mentioned you heard me on Chef AJ, and I think I've been on there like 5 or 6 times at this point. But what was it that made it like I need to commit to changing the things that I'm doing to get a different outcome? Like, what was that thought process?
I think it was sort of an aha moment for me. It was something you said, and I'm going to get it wrong, but it was something about, when I really want to get something done that I'm not an expert at, I'm going to hire somebody to get me there faster.
Yeah.
And that just sort of clicked into my brain. Like, yeah, I was sort of at that point where I was like ready, and I was like, yeah, he's right. And I need to like just do this before I change my mind.
Yeah. That's how I make decisions too. So I get it. Yeah. I think that's something that people wait too long on. They're like, let me just give this a fair shot. And I'm at the point now in my life, and I'm trying to educate like others on that too. It's like, if you want to do something, the amount of time it would take you to research and the amount of trial and error you'd have to do to actually figure it out, the cost of that doesn't outweigh the cost of like hiring someone to do it. So I just go straight to hiring someone when I'm starting something new, because I'm like, you did all the mistakes, you figured out a path, just tell me so I don't have to make like 2-3 years worth of mistakes and how much financial mistakes that come with that. And then he's like, just do this. And then it's just so much easier when you do it.
That's what I needed. I needed someone to tell me exactly what to do. And I needed that accountability piece. So, yeah.
And so how was it for you when you kind of made that commitment? Was there like a little bit of like fear, excitement, anxiety?
I will be honest with you. In the first month, I wanted to quit.
Yeah, that's all right. That's why we're here. The truth.
I'm going to be authentic here. I don't know at what point I decided I didn't want to quit anymore, but I really did. And I think it was just fear, honestly. It's not that it was, I guess I was just worried that I wasn't an athlete and I didn't know what I was doing. And is this going to work for me? Yeah, I don't belong here. But then you start seeing results and you change your mind real quick. Because I remember also when I started, I had signed up for 3 months. And so I remember thinking, okay, I'm not going to quit. But after the 3 months, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But then the results start coming in and you start seeing your body change and this is really working. And it's like, okay, yes, I will sign on for 4 more months. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Please let me sign the dotted line. So.
Yeah, because you've been out for like 5 or 6 months with us now. You started like in July.
Yeah, I just finished my 6th month.
Okay, yeah, so you just finished your 6 months. So yeah, 32 pounds, and now you're into the reverse dieting process. At
just 1 week.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm happy to get more food the week that you're with me.
Yeah, 50 calories,
Yeah.
But I mean, mentally, that's like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, well, it gets a lot better as you progress along. So I'm curious, like I want it to be like as truthful as possible for people. So wanting to quit in the first month is actually, common for a lot of people, because it's like, oh shit, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Like, now I have to like exercise when I don't want to. I have to watch my nutrition when potentially I would rather eat something else than what's on the plan or what I should technically do. So how did you overcome that part for you to be able to be like, you know what, let me just give this a fair shot?
I don't know if it was one particular thing. Definitely seeing results helped.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is working, so obviously I should be doing it. But then just listening, I was never able to join the group calls just because of the timing, but I would always listen to them. Like, I love to take morning walks, and I always listen to the group calls and the podcast, and just like that repeated exposure and all of that. And just the close community, I don't know, all of these things together, it just sort of came together really. Like, okay, I can do this. I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, and I'm happy you listen to the group call replays. That's why we post them, because if you're looking to change how you're eating and exercising, like, you do have to put a bigger emphasis on it. And it's hard to think of putting a bigger emphasis on it if you're never in it.
Right.
So if at least you're listening to the replay or jumping on some live or chatting in the community, it's like, oh, I'm around other people.
Yeah.
And at least there's at least like one touch point a day where you're like, oh, I'm in this thing, and I should focus on this.
Just every day, just having that. It's so great. Like, I've never met Coach Sarah before, but I've heard her calls, and I love her philosophy. And it's just like, yeah, I like it. Like, she just makes me feel, like it's okay to be human, like all of that stuff. She's just got like that comforting vibe about her that I love. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having that in my ear every day. That really helps.
Yeah, and you'll get to meet her. We'll do a workshop in LA in person, and I'm going to fly in all the coaches, so you'll get to meet everyone.
Amazing.
In one go. So when you started, what were some of the tools or the things that were helpful for you to kind of get you going on this process?
Definitely the app, because I needed someone to tell me what to do for the workouts, for sure, and the workout videos. Yeah, because I don't really have a history of weight training at all. Well, I mean, there was a short period of time where I went to the gym and did like the circuit training with the weight machines. Yeah. But I didn't really know what I was doing. Like, it was, but I've never really worked with free weights before. So the videos absolutely 1,000 gazillion%. Even now, I still, before I start doing an exercise, will just really quick review, like, okay, this is what I need to do. Okay. So that's really helpful in the app, just being able to track everything. And, all the tools really. I think the only thing I don't really use is the meal plan. Just cause I don't know, I'm a control freak about my food. I want to like track, I would rather track my calories and my protein and eat my own food, but,
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, at the end of the day, people develop their own system. The meal plans are there to support, give ideas for recipes, or like, I think a lot of people struggle in how to get enough plant-based protein within their calories. Because a lot of time they end up at the end of the day, they're like, oh, I ate all my calories, but I have 50 grams of protein left. How do I navigate that better the next time?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's different for everybody in terms of what's going to work the best, but
yeah. That's why we have different nutrition stock coaching, right? The tracking, the meal plans, the guidelines. Some people, we develop a fully custom structure and system for them, because for them, the meal plan feels so restrictive, but they don't want to track. So we're trying to build something where there's some form of tracking somewhere to help them stay on track.
Yeah. And I'm one of those weirdos that I do like tracking, despite what I said earlier about not wanting to weigh and measure all my food. Yeah. Like, after being away from that for a while and coming back to it, now I kind of like it. I don't know.
I go through phases like that too. I don't like weigh the food. I'll like eyeballs, like, that's a cup of rice, that's a cup of oatmeal. Like, I won't pull out a scale or anything to kind of measure. I
admit I do pull out this. I weigh and measure everything, and I know I don't have to, but I do. I will admit.
Yeah, it's all right. Again, when you kind of transition out of reverse dieting and move more towards like maintenance intuitive eating, then you'll learn to kind of eyeball things a little bit more, because right now, your metabolism is still in a very sensitive state because you're just starting reverse dieting. Right. But once we sped up your metabolism and your body can handle more food to stay lean, then you have wiggle room. Like, you scoop a cup. If it's even a cup and a quarter, for example, like, it's still fine. Your body will be able to handle it.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
And to be fair, you have so much more energy and you feel so much stronger in the gym when you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
How was it? So were you strength training before you started the program?
No, I was basically doing walking was really it.
That's very common for people. They're like, I exercise. I'm like, oh, great. What do you do? They're like, I walk every day. I'm like, oh, so you're just living your life normally, basically.
Yeah.
We're not adding anything. So how was it for you to start strength training then?
It was great. I knew that I needed to do it. Like I knew that's what would really change my body. And I knew that. I just didn't know what to do. And my husband has tried to help me before. He does some weight training, but we're just different people. And like, I like to work out first thing in the morning. He likes to work out later in the day. So it just didn't mesh. And I needed something else, but, I knew I needed to do it. And I don't even love it. Honestly, I always say it's like cleaning my house. I don't want to do it, but boy, do I like the results.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it because you have to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can hire a cleaner, but you
that's
can't
true.
get someone to do the squats
That's true,
for
but
you.
I'm not going to do that. Like if I can do it myself, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. No, exercise is one of those things that, I tell this to people all the time. Like, oh, you're working out all the time. You're super motivated. I was like, I feel like working out maybe 50% of the time. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, everyone else. You wake up some morning, you're like, I'm kind of sore, groggy, tired today. Like, I don't want to go to the gym. But you just go because you know how good you feel after.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm the roll out of bed and do it right away kind of person. I have to, or it will not happen. Absolutely. So I think that kind of tricks my brain too. Cause it's like, I'm not even fully awake yet. And I'm just going, putting on the workout clothes and doing the thing. So that sort of tricks me into like starting.
Yeah. So it's like workout before your brain realizes what's happening basically.
Exactly.
Hey, it's obviously working for you.
It's the only way.
Yeah. What are some of the physical changes that you've noticed in yourself from starting strength training? Is there like any strength thing that you've noticed or?
I mean, I can definitely tell I'm getting stronger just from being able to advance in weights and just even the way that I carry myself, I feel like is different.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. There's a certain posture and energy that comes from feeling stronger.
Yeah.
And just feeling, you feel more connected with your muscles because you're actively used to training them. So you know what it feels like to engage them. Mm-hmm. So you just feel like a bigger sense of control over your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just physically, like mentally, I feel better. Like I was thinking the other day, like I'm overall a very positive person, but before I would just like every once in a while just kind of like fall into a funk that would take me a while to get out of. And I'm like, that doesn't really happen to me anymore. Like I just feel good.
Yeah. A strength training will do that for you.
Yeah.
Having more muscle will do that.
Yeah.
So in terms of the group calls, I'm curious what are some of the things that you've learned in there that you potentially didn't know, but that have been very helpful, potentially principles or lessons that you've used along the way?
Gosh, I'm not sure. I mean, this is kind of a silly one, but it's important. Like I learned from Coach Nick that I was wearing the wrong kind of shoes when I strength train. I was just wearing like my regular like running shoes or whatever, not flat shoes. So so that's a very specific thing that I learned, but just in general, so much takeaway.
I'm curious if winning the next meal is something that was helpful for you, considering like the previous history with like binge eating of like falling off track and getting back.
Yeah. And I'm proud and happy to say that I haven't done any binge eating since I started this program, which is amazing. That's probably the number one biggest, most amazing thing. I mean, it's all amazing, but I'm just like so happy to get that out of it because that's something I've struggled with for a long time.
Why do you think that is?
I think I was just focused. Like I wanted this. And I mean, to be honest, it's a financial commitment too. So it's like, I can't screw this up. I'm like, I'm paying money to do this. I want to do it right. I want this to be the last time.
Yeah.
And so I think that really helped me. I mean, there were times that I overate or whatever, but it was so different because it was on foods that I would be eating in the program anyway. Even if I ate a lot of it, I didn't have the same guilt. I didn't feel like crap the next day. Yeah. Like it was just like,
it's like, oh no, you ate more fruits and veggies. What a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, what a bad binge. It's like, Those are pretty good foods to eat on.
I mean, it might have been something more than fruits and veggies, but still,
Yeah.
you know, like a little sourdough bread and some, you know, just banana muffins or whatever. But still, it was like wholesome foods that didn't make me feel like crud. So even though I was like, oh, okay, I went way over my calories, it was like not a big deal and very easy to get back on the horse. Like, okay, fine. I did that. And now we're moving on.
Yeah. And I think that's a part of people miss when they're looking to transform is they think that those moments will never happen, right? Like you talk about sourdough bread. We're me making a sandwich as a recipe video. I got some fresh sourdough bread. That's what I'm using. It's so good.
So good.
I had a little piece yesterday. It was really good. But that's the part that people miss. They're like, they think it's going to be perfect the whole way through. And then whenever they do have these moments, whether it's shit food or it's more like wholesome food, like you mentioned, it's not necessarily the act of going off track that messes up people. It's how they treat themselves after they've done it. Right. You have the choice to be like, oh, it happened, whatever, let me just get back on track. Or, oh my God, I'm a terrible person, I completely messed up, I should continue to basically self-sabotage and wait 2 days, 3 days, or until the next Monday to get back at it. So I'm curious, like, how did the mindset shift from previous to like binge eating? Because I know once binge eating starts, before you've like gotten more of a handle on it, it just continues to like now, like, oh, I ate too much, you know, banana bread or sourdough, to like, whatever, just get back at it. How did that shift happen?
Well, I mean,
I'll just preface that. I know that some of those questions are hard because I'm asking you to conceptualize some of the systems that you've had in your head. And most people have never thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have to give credit to Coach Nick because it's happened a few times. And the first time it happened and I knew like, oh, no, I gotta admit this to Coach Nick on my check-in form. This is so embarrassing. But he was totally like, okay, this happened. Like, it really helped me to like have that support. Like, okay, it's not a huge hairy deal. Let's try not to do that again, but let's move on. So I think that was super helpful, honestly. And just being a part of the program in general. Like, I knew that I was on this path. I had a goal. Like, I'm not messing around. Like, I want to get to the finish line. So we're just going to get right back on track and move on with our lives.
Yeah. I love what you said earlier. Is like you made a financial commitment to this and you didn't want it to go to waste. Like, one of the things my mentor always told me, and that's how I approach life, is when you pay attention.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you have skin in the game at that point. It's like, no, I want to make this work.
Yes.
And that's why we don't do free programs, because how many people Google workout programs or meal plan of like, how do I do this? And then they get a plan and they never do anything with it. Who downloads free ebooks online and never looks at them once or never implements any of it?
I guarantee you, if I was trying to do this on my own right now, I would not. I might lose a few pounds, but then I would go back up, and then I might go back down and go back up, and I would continue yo-yoing like I've done like all of my adult life. So
when's the last time you were at this weight?
I don't remember ever being in the 120s, to be honest with you. I think I've made it down to the 130s before. I mean, I'm sure at some point in my life when I was much, much younger, maybe in high school, I was in the 120. I don't remember, but in my adult life, I don't never have I been at this weight.
Yeah. So over 20 years, over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Because you're 23 right now. It's pretty darn.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What does your husband have to say about your transformation?
I think he's really proud of me. He sees that I'm happier, and that, you know, just the fact that I'm doing something really cool that makes me proud of myself, it makes me feel better, I think makes him, you know, he wants that for me. And so, I remember, I don't know how far into the program I was, a couple months maybe. And my husband was like, I can really tell you're losing weight. And it's like, even though you don't need that validation, like it felt really damn good.
Yeah, for sure. Was he like, how did he react to you kind of jumping into this at the beginning?
I really downplayed it because I'm like, oh man, do I want to tell him that I'm spending the money to do this? Because, you know, I've spent money on things before and it didn't work out. And then I just wasted my money and I didn't lose the weight. So I was like, ugh. So I didn't really tell him at first.
Yeah.
I just kind of downplayed it. Like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I'm getting these workouts, whatever, counting calories. And then as I started seeing results, then I sort of fessed up and told him,
it's like, hey, I did this thing.
I'm not sure I ever told him exactly what I was spending, but
yeah. That's awesome. So, but basically like through like the meal prep and seeing you do the workouts, he was supportive along the way.
Oh, yeah. He's a champion because I'm sort of very, I think I'm a little too type A. I need to work on that. But like when we would take weekend trips away, I would meal prep all of my food for the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And we would go to a restaurant and he would eat his meal and I would like order a salad or a coffee or something because I had either already eaten or was going to eat my own food afterwards. And he was such a trooper. Like he could have been a jerk about it. Like I know he wants to like enjoy a restaurant meal together sometimes, and we will.
Yeah.
But now he's been super supportive, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like having your partner on board with it is really important. And, you know, unfortunately, we've had many conversations with people that sometimes end up going out of the program because the partner was like, you need to stop this. And there's always or the dynamic in the relationship is important, because if they are not in a place of being willing to improve themselves or haven't been in that energy of improving themselves, to see your partner improve themselves, those people kind of feel left behind.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll just drag their partner down with them because it's easier than for them to take the action to kind of match you, basically.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate when I see those scenarios happen. So I'm happy to hear that your husband was like,
I'm grateful to him. He's he listens to me when I complain or whatever, you know, he's been really good.
Yeah. It's always my favorite part when I meet members in person with their partners. They come to me to shake my hand. They're like, thank you. You did a great job on the transformation. So talking about travel. So obviously, you know, we flew you in for the weekend to have an awesome full day together. You came ready with your food. So
I did.
That's a lot of people's concern when they travel. Is like, hey, how am I going to stay on track? How am I going to navigate that? Right? Like tonight, I'm going to bring you to our favorite vegan sushi spot. So I'm curious, like, how did you plan for this weekend travel in terms of your food?
Yeah. So, well, my husband and I take weekend trips a lot. We don't have kids, so we have the freedom to do that. And we're lucky where we live. We're like in one direction, we're like an hour from the beach. And in the other direction, we're like an hour and a half from New Orleans. So we always have somewhere quick to go for the weekend. So just because we go away so much, I sort of, I had to get a plan I wanted to get a plan in place for my food. So I basically have like a travel breakfast, a travel lunch, a travel dinner, a travel afternoon snack. Like they don't change because it just makes it easier for me to like have that, just know exactly what I need to pack. I have these little containers. So that's just a system I built for myself. You know, I know the calories and the protein that are in each meal. And so that just makes it easy for me. I know if I'm going to go away for the weekend, like, okay, here's my travel meals. Let's prep everything and get it ready to go.
Do you mind sharing what those are? The breakfast, the
sure.
lunch,
So, so breakfast is oatmeal, like a cup of oatmeal with protein powder and banana and like some riced cauliflower. And then I always have a vegetable on the side. It's usually for ease of travel. It's usually sugar snap peas because they're delicious and they travel well. For lunch, I do, and this is very boring. This is not exciting stuff. For lunch,
works.
Yeah, it does work. For lunch, I do tempeh and broccoli and Japanese sweet potato.
Yep.
And then dinner, I do tofu and cauliflower and Japanese sweet potato. So not exciting. And my snack is like blueberries, baby carrots, and some dry roasted edamame.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I love it. So as you were sharing it, I was like, you've kind of built like an SOP, standard operating procedure for your travels of like, when I travel, here's the game plan. Let's just stick to that and make it easy to repeat.
Yeah. Because the first time I tried to just like, not wing it, but I was like, okay, so for breakfast I could do that. And I try to like do different meals for different days. And it just got too complicated and I didn't want to do it and it took too long.
Yeah.
So this is like way easier. Like, and it's only a weekend. Who cares if I eat the same meals a couple of days in a row? Like, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. And I think that's some people's issues with traveling. They kind of leave it up to like, oh, I think there's a vegan restaurant or a smoothie bar and I can potentially get something there. But you get there and an acai bowl is like 1,000 calories
Right.
with 10 grams of protein, and you're like, I can't do that's
Yeah.
half your calorie intake for the day, and you only get 10 grams of protein for it.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I haven't done longer travel since I've been a part of the program, and I do think that would be harder. I think I could see myself food prepping for like 2 or 3 days, but then trying to, I don't know, go to the grocery store while I'm there, or, research restaurants in advance. I don't know what I would do for longer travel. This is not easy to do for longer, but for a weekend away, piece of cake. Love it.
Yeah. Knowing you, I feel like you'll develop a nice little SOP for longer travel
Maybe.
as well. Yeah.
We'll
Well,
see.
I think today is going to be a perfect test of that because we're going to eat out at the restaurant tonight.
Yeah.
So I can help you navigate like the calories and the protein goals because I have my own little SOP when I travel of like what I do, and I always eat out at restaurants when I travel because I want to try the
Right.
different food, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think you mentioned it's been like 30 years since you came to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to bring you to the best vegan sushi spot. You got to give it a shot.
I know. I'm so excited.
It's always interesting when we travel with members and either go to their hometown or they come here. It's eating with the coach basically. They're like, oh, I brought my breakfast. I'm ready and organized.
Yep.
And then we're going to eat out. When Dr. Lori was in the program and I was coaching her, we went to have dinner with her and her husband and with Ivy. Had a little like double date. And before she ordered, she just let me order. And I ordered this. She's like, I'll have the same thing Maxime's having. It's like, I just want it to be safe. So I ordered the same thing you had. If you ordered it, it has to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You'll see, there'll be some great food tonight. I'd love to talk about the ups and downs of the transformation. So let's start with the ups, and then we can go kind of like with the downs and the lessons from it. So were there any specific moment through that span of 6 months where you were like, damn, this is working. I'm noticing this change in my body. I have so much more energy. Were there some, there's always little moments you catch yourself, you're like, God damn, I look great.
Yeah. I think after a certain point, that was sort of all the time. Like you just start noticing, and then you notice more and you notice more and you notice more. And I think that kept me going, honestly. Like, who wants to keep sludging along when you're not seeing results? It's so hard. So that really helped me. I'm not sure if there's anything specific I can think of. I remember the first time I started to kind of see abs, and I didn't believe it. Like, we were, I think we were away on a weekend trip, and I was like,
what are these lines?
What are those? I know, right? Even in my check-in form to Nick, I said something like, I'm starting to see lines in my body. I wouldn't even admit that they were abs until he said, yeah, you're getting abs. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is crazy. I mean, I've never had abs in my life. Are you kidding? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's always like you get a glimpse in the mirror, you're like, oh, I see those lines on my shoulders, on my arms.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not all sunshine and roses. I've got some loose skin. whatever. I don't look perfect. I don't look like anything amazing, but it's compared to but I'm just saying, like, compared to what I was, I'm so happy. Like, I didn't expect to look like a supermodel.
Hey, for your age, your level of fitness, the lifestyle that you have, if you look at everyone else in North America that is your age, you look phenomenal. You're in the top 1% of shape.
Thank you.
Right? Like, that's a stat to keep in mind.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So talking about like the downsides. So like I've said earlier, people always imagine that this journey is going to be perfect. Like, because I've committed, because I've invested in myself, I will do everything that I'm supposed to do. But they don't really account for life happening, emergencies, travels, family situation, work situation. So what are situations that you're comfortable sharing that led you to go off track, whether it was overeating or like having to move workouts or having to eat out when you weren't ready, and how did you navigate those?
I mean, I haven't had a ton of, I think it's mostly the overeating instances that probably happened, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm only asking this because I want people to realize, like, you've had these moments and you had a crazy transformation. Yeah. For them to realize that, like, both can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that was hard. And I think some of it was stress. Some of it was just feeling hungry. Like, I know a lot of people in the program, they're like, I can't eat all this food. That's not me. I can eat a lot of food. So there was a time when hunger was an issue for me. And I told Coach Nick that, and he was like, well, just add an apple. And I'm like, apple's not going to do anything. But then he was like, don't count calories for your vegetables.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Best tip ever. Thank you, Coach Nick. So even now, I don't count calories for vegetables at all. I do track them because I want to know like what little protein I'm getting from them.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm eating most days 200 to 300 calories above my calorie goal in non-starchy vegetables.
Yeah.
And still seeing results, which is amazing. Like I never would have believed that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So that helped me so much. Oh my God. I wouldn't have made it. I would not be here right now if it wasn't for that. So
yeah. We're just reinforcing what everyone's moms has been telling them from a kid. Eat your vegetables.
Yeah. It's true. Forget the apple. No, I'm just kidding.
But it adds such a large volume of food and of fiber for like such a slow amount of calories.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if you are tracking your food, the biggest headache is tracking all the little portions of veggies that you're having. It's such a headache every time. So if it's just like, quinoa, tofu, and then whatever veg I have in the fridge, and you can drastically bulk up the volume with it, it makes it so easy.
Yeah.
And as long as you're consistent with eating that much vegetables every day, it kind of falls within like your constant variable of food intake.
Yeah.
So basically in this instance of overeating, how did you again navigate getting back on track? What honestly, like what was the cause of some of them? Was it like stress?
Yeah, I think most of them are probably stress. Maybe one of them was like, oh, I'm so hungry before the vegetable tip. But yeah, stress. I think I've always sort of been a stress eater, anxiety eater. So, but I think after it happened, it was just what I said before. You know, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a goal. I don't want to mess this up. Yeah, I just did that, but we're moving on. Like I don't want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And honestly, with the food that we eat, it's easy to not keep doing that. Like I don't feel that. Like when I used to binge eat on just pure junk.
Yeah.
You just wanted to keep going for days and days and days. Like it's just like, it's so addictive.
It drags you down and it makes you feel more like shit. That makes you want more of these foods.
Yeah. So overeating on these foods did not make me feel that way. So it was easier to get back on track. Thank God.
Overeating on strawberries and bananas and apples is like, I'm full now. There's something to like the amount of vitamins and nutrients and fiber that's in it that you're just like, your body just stops being hungry or having cravings. Like, I'm good. I don't need more sugar. I don't need more sweets.
Yeah. It's amazing.
How has your relationship with food improved then over time?
I think since I have not eaten like the over-processed, highly palatable foods in 6 months now, like I don't crave those things. I don't want those things. I don't feel a need to overeat those things, which is, that's huge for me. I mean, I never thought I would be able to say that.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. And then whenever you do have some of those foods, because let's be honest, you're going to live for a long time. So at one point it will happen. What's beautiful when you've been, if I want to put it that clean for so long, is you will feel like absolute shit as soon as you eat some. And then you'll actually realize the impact that it has on your body. Like you really have to like cleanse your palate, cleanse your gut. And once you have one tiny bit of it, the next day you'll feel puffy, you'll feel groggy, you'll feel inflamed. You'll be like, damn.
Yeah.
Was it worth it for the taste that I got that lasted whatever, a few minutes?
Right.
Yeah. And then eventually you need to realize that like you feel so terrible that the next time you think about having it, it's literally a decision in your head of like, can I afford to feel like shit tomorrow?
Yeah.
No, well then I won't eat it.
Yeah.
Right. And realistically, there's not any other days where you'd be like, can I afford to feel like shit tomorrow?
Right.
You just want to feel good every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about the body recomposition, now you're in the reverse dieting phase. So just quickly for the people listening that don't know, it's where we speed up your metabolism over the course of 4 months to trick your body into eating more food to maintain the weight. So obviously you're into week 1 of it. But I'm curious as to like, do you have any like concerns or thoughts about going through it? Because
no, I'm excited. Just even this is week 1 of reverse dieting for me. And even just getting that 50 extra calories a day, like it's such a mental boost. Like, yes, more food. Yay.
Yeah.
I I'm not worried because, you know, I've heard your success stories. I know it works. And honestly, for me, like when I've lost weight in the past, it's like, it wasn't sustainable. I was white knuckling, and then you get done and you're just like eating everything. Basically. Yeah. So I feel like that's going to be like the secret sauce that makes this work. This is the time that I actually maintain the weight loss and live my life because, you know, because of the reverse dieting. I mean, let's face it, we're not going to stay at this tiny calorie goal forever.
No.
It's just not sustainable. So being able to add that food back and stay at the same weight, I know that's the key. That's the key for lifetime maintenance.
Yeah. And like I said, it is such a great feeling. Like you will notice your strength increase, your energy increase. You're going to have an annoying amount of energy is kind of how it's been described.
I'm excited for that.
Like when my mom went through it, a lot of our clients went through it. Their husband and the partner was always like, calm down. You have too much energy. And again, just once you complete the reverse dieting, like we talked about confidence and like how you feel mentally and in your body, it changes even more at that point because you know you've completed the cycle basically. Right. And I don't think confidence comes from like, yes, you've transformed your body, you got a great transformation. But I think what makes it so that you carry yourself differently and show up differently is that you are doing and have done the thing that you said that you were going to do. Finally. Yeah. Right? Like, well, finally, we're doing the thing that we said that we're going to do. And that's the biggest confident boost you can have. You can, I can snap my fingers, make you lose the weight, and you would still not feel as good as if you like showed up and did the thing, basically.
Right. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've thought since I started this, like, wow, I can do hard things. And it spills over into other areas of your life.
Yes.
Like, you know?
It translates to other areas.
It really does. Like, okay, well, I did that, so duh, I can do this. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So I always like to say, being able to transform your body and mastering nutrition and fitness is building the foundation to have an incredible life because it spills over in your relationship. It spills over in your career, the projects, the impact that you want to have.
Yeah.
Because it's a translatable skill to be disciplined. It's just like, oh, all I need is a plan. And if there's a plan, I've already proven to myself that I can follow a plan. And the hardest part is getting your own head out of the way from doing the plan, basically.
Yeah.
Did you ever find your head getting in the way of you doing the plan?
Yeah. There's one story that comes to mind. So I had this lower body workout that was really hard for me. And the exercises themselves weren't really that hard, but like all of them in a row with like the number of prescribed reps, you know, it was tough. And so the first time I muddled my way through it and it was hard, but then I like dreaded it the entire next week until I had to do it again.
Yeah, like PTSD basically.
Yeah. I was just like, oh God, I don't want to do, oh my God, why do I have to do? So then the day came that I was supposed to do it. And I was like, I'm not doing it. So I moved it to the next day.
Yeah.
So then the next day I finally did it. And it was like so painful and horrible. It was just as painful and horrible as I made it out in my head to be. Like, it just felt like every single rep was such a chore.
Was it the 15 to 20 reps when you kind of got to that rage?
No, it wasn't even that. So I got through it, but it was like a chore, the whole thing. And so I told myself, all right, you know what? For next week, I'm not going to think about this. I'm not going to let myself get in my head.
Yeah.
And so the next week came and I had to do it. And yeah, it sucked, but I got through it and it was fine because it was the worrying, you know, I basically psyched myself out when it's like, okay, just don't think about it. Just do the thing. Just do the thing and you'll be fine. You'll survive. So yeah, that was definitely me getting inside my head. But, you know, I learned from that. I learned that not only does worry not help the situation, but it can make it worse, which it did in that situation because that, you know, I worried about it and then the workout sucked. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So
yeah, it amplified what it actually was going to be. It wasn't actually going to, it was going to hurt, but it wasn't going to be that bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you know, at this point, your workouts change every 4 weeks to ensure that you don't plateau. So they're increasingly harder consistently. So how have you found that journey? Because in order to be fitter and put on more lean muscle, we have to continuously make it a little bit harder, more stressful on the body. So are you able to like do a certain amount of reps or weights that you couldn't do at the beginning that you're surprised that you can do now?
Oh yeah. Not only reps, but just exercises. I remember in the beginning trying to do lunges and I would like fall sideways. Like I had no balance. Like I couldn't do a freaking lunge. But now I can do all the different variations of lunges, no problem. So yeah, it just takes repetition and practice and I guess determination, and you just figure it out.
Yeah. Was there someone in the, because I know you're listening to the replay and you've seen a lot of the FitVegan success stories that we've recorded. Was there anyone in particular that inspired you to kind of do this or step up, or in the group?
No, I mean, not anyone in particular. Every single one I've listened to is incredibly inspiring. Like everybody that I'm just like, wow, what a bunch of rock stars.
You're on it now.
I know, it's weird, right?
Yeah. From going to listening to them to being on one of those episodes, right? And the beauty of these episodes is that, you know, thousands of people, not put pressure, but thousands of people will listen to them. And it's going to inspire a lot of people because everyone's going through their own journey and their own path. And when you talk about being type A, I'm a recovering type A. We have a lot of type A in the program. So I think people can definitely relate to that aspect of wanting control, but wanting transformation. So actually, it brings me to this interesting point. You kind of had to give up control a little bit to be able to do this. How hard was that?
I don't think it was that hard because I knew that I knew that I needed that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been able to do it with the food though, honestly, but with the workouts, I 1,000% needed to give up control because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like I would try to do like a YouTube workout here, a YouTube workout there. And I didn't know it was just like, there was no system to it. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't consistent, you know, so I needed that. So for me, giving up that control was a relief.
Yeah. What was the biggest lesson you've learned along the like this whole journey?
Oh, that's so hard. The biggest lesson I've learned.
Yeah. If you want, we can do one for each department, you know, from a nutrition standpoint, from a fitness standpoint, a mindset standpoint. Now it gives you 3.
3 is harder than 1.
We can isolate them a little bit.
I mean, the biggest lesson. I think it's what I said before, that I can do hard things. I can do things that I'm scared of. It's just getting your mind in a place where you're ready to accept that you're going to do it and then just doing it. And it wasn't even hard because you tell us exactly what to do. So it's not like I have to figure this out on my own. So yeah, I think just realizing that I can do things when I put my mind to them and someone helps me.
Yeah, well, guidance, basically.
Yeah, guidance, absolutely.
You did all your lunges, you did all your squats, you did all your exercise, you prepped all your food, you did all of that, right? It's always there's that fine line of like, you can have support up until this point, because I can go to your house and eat your meals for you and do the squats for you, but I will get the results if I do that. Right. All right. So it's like that last little barrier, you have to make that decision.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, no one was knocking on my door saying, hey, how come you push that workout a day? Or, hey, are you sticking to your calorie? Like, yes, I had accountability to Nick, but I really had to be accountable to myself.
Yeah. I think it's, to be honest with you, when we've been at this for almost 5 years now, when I first started, I was like, I want to make sure everyone's success, and everyone moving a workout or not sticking to calories for the day made me so anxious. Like, it was making me sick. And throughout the years, I've learned to disconnect from that and be like, you guys are adults, you know?
Yeah.
You've committed to this, so you have to have some accountability to yourself.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's a disservice, because if we check in with you to make sure you do these things, what happens when you're out the program?
Yeah.
Like, no one's checking in on me every day that I don't have to do it. Like, as you've been through this and as you continue to go through reverse dieting, like, you're learning to have self-accountability to yourself, so that once you're out of the program, you know how to be self-accountable to yourself. It's not a process that you have to figure out once you're on your own. Right. That's hard to learn in one instant.
Yeah. And just build, FitVegan is helping me build the habit. Yeah. So once I graduate, or whatever we're going to call it, the habit is solidified, and that makes me feel so much more confident that I can stick with it.
Yeah. Oh, once you complete, you'll get do you receive your coins already, right? For 50 workouts. So we have one that says, congratulations, you're a FitVegan.
Nice.
Once you complete the program.
That's awesome.
So we'll ship one of those to you.
I'm excited.
Yeah. It was a good idea to do those coins, but they are so expensive to ship.
Really?
Because they're heavy.
Oh.
Each shipping is more expensive than the actual coin.
Oh.
I didn't think about that. Mistakes that you made. So I'd like to ask you for advice that you would offer younger version of yourself. So you that did whatever, like you mentioned, unsustainable ways or kind of white knuckling through processes to trying to lose weight before, being where you are now, knowing what you know now, what would you tell Amy from back then so that she could like do it right once and for all, basically? What did that Amy needed to hear?
I think that it's okay to ask for help. If you can't do it yourself, ask for help. That's the biggest thing. I don't know that I could have done it on my own. I don't think I could have.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for help. Like, there's no shame in that.
Everyone that's successful asks for help. Like, no one got there on their own, right? Like, fitness and health is something that we feel that we should know everything about. And again, you can listen to tons of podcasts and read a ton of books and articles and all these things, but putting it into a plan that's actually organized and systematized to produce results, you can go study personal training certification, go study holistic nutrition, go coach people, learn how to coach people, learn how to put that together, then you can do it on your own, right? If you want to like spend all that time studying and you want to make a living out of it, basically, right?
Sure.
But if you don't, like, I'm not going to go take a mechanics course to learn how to fix my car. I'm just going to go, I'm going to go to a mechanic like, hey, fix the car. You studied, you've done it. Like, why would I need to spend the time to study it? So it's an interesting area of life where people have issue asking for help because they feel like they should have control over it. And to a certain extent, people can do what you were doing before, which is eat whole food, plant-based, be active. You can be in great health.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But to me, you've surpassed that now. Like, you've optimized yourself. Like, you're at a whole other level of health at this point, right? You're fine-tuned, you're optimized where, you're in great shape, you have strength, you have stamina, and you're healthy, and you have tons of energy, right? So it's like, you can be healthy, but there's a different level, and that's where we bring you guys, and that's where you are right now, basically. And yeah, just, it is tough to ask for help. Do you think it's because of the whole type A energy? Because I feel like a lot of people that are type A usually kind of become the go-to person that people come to when they have problems. And they're so used to hosting and serving other people and being the go-to person because we're so organized and disciplined and we get shit done. But then as us, we feel weird asking other people for help because we're used to being the go-to person.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, and maybe another part of it is not wanting to make a financial commitment, like thinking, I can do this on my own. I don't need to pay somebody to help me do this.
Yeah.
But sometimes you really do.
Yeah. Well, we could have saved 2 decades of trial and error, basically.
Can you imagine the money I could have saved if I just would have done this in the first place?
If you done this in the first, you would have saved a lot, even if you paid for the program. On top of everything you spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the whole like buying cheap t-shirts. I hate H&M for t-shirts because they just, I'm 6'4", right? So they shrink every time I wash them. I have to buy new ones. And eventually, you know what? I'm just going to pay $90 for a Lululemon t-shirt. And they last me, I still had them like 5 years after.
Yeah.
I was like, you just got to buy the good stuff once. It lasts forever. You don't need to keep rebuying them over again.
Yeah.
I could have bought 10 Lululemon t-shirts with all the freaking shitty t-shirts I bought.
I know. It hurts when you put out the money, but then it feels really good later.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, again, last piece of advice, last question I have for you. So there's people listening that are in the program that are starting midway through it. There are people that are considering being in the program or just starting their own transformation on their own. They want to improve themselves. They hear your story, they see your photos, they'll be like, I want to be like Amy. What is a piece of advice that you would have for them?
So for people who haven't started, I think my advice would be, if it's fear that's holding you back, just do it. You will not regret it. You will not. Even if you want to quit in the beginning like I did, you will not regret it. Just do it. If you think you're not an athlete, who cares? Get that out of your head. Just do it. Because if somebody would have told me that, I could have been farther along. For someone who's in the program, I think it's just what you say all the time, and that's consistency.
Yeah.
Just do the things as they're prescribed, and it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, even though there's going to be bumps along the road, you focus on consistency, and here you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm definitely a perfectionist, but I've proven to myself that I can do something not perfectly and still get really freaking awesome results.
Yeah. I'll just throw that as a last point. Perfectionism is such an interesting concept for me because I used to describe myself as a perfectionist as well. But I was very selective in the areas that I identified myself as a perfectionist.
It's true.
Right? It's like, I'm a perfectionist in these areas,
Yeah.
but in those other areas, whatever goes.
Exactly.
So I love the self-description identity that we have for us. It's very selective to few
It's
areas.
It's true.
And we always pick areas that we know that we're good at. When we're not good at them, it's like,
yeah,
that's fine. Whatever. It's kind of, it works. It's okay. It hasn't crumbled yet. We'll just leave it there. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Amy, I appreciate you for jumping on the podcast. It was great chatting with you. I'm excited to record our pre-workout recipe video.
Yeah.
And get a good hard workout in together.
I don't know about that one, but okay.
Yeah, you'll do great. So yeah, massive thank you again for coming down to LA and recording with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Totally surreal, and I'm going to remember this always. So thank you.
Oh, beautiful. And also for the people listening, at this point when this podcast goes out, potentially the recipe videos or the workout videos will be live. So feel free to check that out on the YouTube channel. If you're interested in working with us, like we did with Amy, get incredible transformation, you can book your free body recomposition call down below, and you get to talk with Alex or Ivy, right? There'll be 2 coaches that will be taking that call. So look forward to supporting you on your journey. If not, enjoy the episode, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.